Hello, and welcome to the National Endowment for the Humanities webinar on applying for digital projects for the public. My name is Chrissy Cortina, and I am a Senior Program Officer in the Division of Public Programs at the NEH. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about a number of topics, from a summary of NEH support for digital projects across all of our divisions, information about the digital projects for the public grant line, funding levels and requirements for each category, and an overview of how to apply. Of course, if you need any help or clarification with anything that I present, please do not hesitate to reach out to us directly. I'll provide our contact information at the end of the webinar. The NEH is made up of 6 divisions. The Division of Public Programs is the home of the digital projects for the public grant line. But there are 5 other divisions that also provide support for digital projects in the humanities. However, each division supports different activities. So, for example, the Division of Preservation and Access supports digital approaches that ensure the long-term and wide availability of artifacts and collections, protecting them against environmental, material, and technological challenges. The Office of Digital Humanities has multiple grant programs that fund project teams experimenting with digital technologies to develop new methodologies for research, teaching and learning, public engagement, and scholarly communications. This includes the study of digital culture from a humanistic perspective and the creation of digital publications. The Division of Education Programs supports activities like seminars and institutes on digital practice in the humanities, or the design of undergraduate coursework in digital humanities, or digital curriculum and professional development opportunities for K-12 and higher education faculty. In the Division of Public Programs, as our name suggests, we are focused, broadly speaking, on funding for humanities projects for a general non-specialist audience. These projects must be grounded in scholarship, and they should not be theoretical or jargon-filled, but rather translated and synthesized in a way that allows for the broadest possible reach. They can be single format, such as a film, or multiple format, such as a museum exhibit that is paired with digital educational content. Our mandate, quite simply, is to meet the general public where they are, be it on television, at a historic home, in the classroom, or on the web. We don't expect that every project can reach everyone. That's an impossible task. But we do expect funded projects to reach their targeted audiences through deep engagement with the humanities and with as broad of an impact as possible. No single project can do everything for everyone, but we hope that our portfolio as a whole can come close. What we don't do in public programs, and this goes for the entire endowment, is fund projects that advocate for specific action, policy, or law. We want projects that engage the public with the complexities of the humanities, provide perspectives on ourselves, our histories, our cultures, and our country. As a taxpayer-funded agency, we cannot fund projects that work towards persuading someone of a certain point of view or a certain course of action. In digital projects for the public, we need projects that work well for a public audience. To do this, we fund a variety of digital formats aimed at the public: games, VR, digital environments, mobile apps, interpretive websites, interactive documentaries, and digital museum installations and kiosks. Diversity is a strength here in both platform and subject matter. Now, there's a big difference between an archive or preservation project and an interpretive digital public humanities project, one that provides curated pathways or narrative experiences rather than open access to content. Access matters a lot, but access isn't the same as interpretation, curation, and storytelling. This difference, as you might have guessed, is one of the keys to success in the public programs. It is what differentiates an online archive, something that's funded through the Division of Preservation and Access, and the Digital Projects for the Public grants. The Digital Projects for the Public grant opportunity is offered annually in June. In terms of program statistics, Digital Projects has been offered annually for 7 years with an average of 102 applications per cycle and about a 14% funding ratio. That translates to somewhere in the range of 14 awards per year. In order to be eligible to apply, you must be either a U.S. nonprofit organization with 501c3 status, a public and 501c3 accredited institution of higher education, a state or local government agency, or a federally recognized Native American tribal government. Individuals, foreign, and for-profit entities are not eligible to apply. There are 3 levels of funding in the Digital Projects for the Public program: discovery, prototyping, and production. And I'm going to offer a quick breakdown of each of these. Discovery grants are the lowest level of funding that we offer, but in many ways, they might as well be the most important. They are designed to fund the exploratory stages of a project, the place where a concept is introduced and then really put through its paces by scholars, practitioners, and media experts. Discovery grants need to start with a subject, such as, for example, the Constitution or the Civil Rights Movement, or an object, such as a book, or a place, or an event. In each case, the grant proposal must include consultation between scholars and media producers, the refinement of humanities content, and the analysis of potential platforms for use. The deliverable for this award is a design document that charts the path forward for the project, both intellectually and technically. Prototyping grants do just what the name suggests. They support the creation, testing, and evaluation of a proof of concept prototype. Importantly, you do not need to have received a discovery grant in order to apply for a prototyping grant, nor do you need a prototyping grant to apply for a production grant. The only prerequisite for a prototyping grant is a design document. With a prototyping grant, activities can include further refinement of the humanities content, extensive development work, audience testing and evaluation, and even pre-distribution outreach. The deliverable for this grant is, not surprisingly, a prototype of the project that can lead the project to production. Finally, production grants support the final stages of a project and everything that takes place between prototyping and distribution. This includes building out the project, further testing and evaluation with audiences and scholars, outreach, programming, and distribution. By the end of the production period, the project is finished, distributed, and out in the world. I'm going to run through a few keys to success in the program, but I want to first make an important point that applies to all of our projects. Integrating content expertise, scholars, into the digital design process is absolutely crucial, and it will more than likely make or break the project's chances of funding. This means that all digital projects proposals need to assemble a strong and diverse team of scholars to offer guidance on content, as well as to check that the humanities ideas are present in the project at all stages. You'll also want to build clearly defined design strategies, development processes, and learning goals early on, and allow them to guide the project as it moves along. Always keep the focus on your audience, thinking about ways of maximizing the project's impact from the moment the platform is created and focus is chosen all the way down to the release date. Even though you have to make a case for a digital project, and that means partially making a case for the platform chosen, you have to ensure that your humanities content, the bulk of the narrative section of your application, is sound in its scholarship, themes, and framing for the general public. This cannot be stressed enough. You might have a fantastic and innovative idea for using a particular platform, but it will not get you an award on its own. Content, humanities content specifically, matters here and relies on the team of humanities experts you assemble. They are crucial to your success. This extends to all of the funding levels for digital projects for the public. The platforms, subjects, audiences, and institutions we've funded are quite diverse, but there are some commonalities in their applications that are worth sharing. With discovery grants, for example, we recommend that you start with a subject, a collection, a region, or place. Build a team of experts around that focus. And as I said earlier, not just the obvious folks, but you want to assemble people who address the contexts and larger issues implicated by your topic. Create a process that allows for these expert voices to become an integral part of the design. Cast a wide net, but know that discovery proposals aren't fishing expeditions. You have to have a good grasp of your subject, or at least the people who can help you with your subject and the platforms you might want to potentially use. Finally, reach out to audiences, organizations, and networks who will maximize impact and involve them early on too. Prototyping grants aren't as open-ended. Even if they are premised on testing and evaluation of the platform and concept, and possibly course correction during the process. One, to be successful with a prototyping grant, the design document you submit in your proposal needs to be strong. And this is important. Show consistent integration of humanities content and themes. Two, this is pretty simple. Don't take on more than your team can handle in prototyping. We really leave it to you to decide whether to prototype broadly or to dig deep into a single aspect of the project. But this isn't production, so don't try to do too much. Now, I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but this is important. Interaction and feedback between the content experts, scholars, tribal elders, and the media team should be present at all major milestones of the prototyping period. It's one thing to say that the project works on a technical level. It's another thing entirely to say that it works on an intellectual level. Production grants, by contrast, need to get to the finish line, and proposals for the production level need to demonstrate the ability to get there. One of the keys to a successful production proposal is the ability to display previous user evaluation and testing, and to show us how that fits into the production work being proposed. This is as true for the humanities content as it is for the user experience. Don't be vague with distribution plans, saying you'll use social media, for example, without any specifics as to how or why or who you are targeting isn't enough. And also, don't overestimate your audience numbers, especially if your outreach plan relies on unconfirmed variables. Be smart about what you show, and equally smart about what you don't. A good sample, which is required, a good sample should clearly display the project's humanities ideas alongside core aspects of its design. Focusing on the wow factor of the platform isn't enough for us, nor is choosing a sample that poorly represents the scope and dynamics of the project. Try to find the middle ground. And last, this is production. These projects need to be what we call shovel ready. If we were to hand you a check tomorrow, would we have enough information to avoid any guesswork or speculation? That is very important. At production, all the details should be in place. In short, to be successful in this grant line, you will need to tell stories within the humanities, like a film or a podcast. Digital public humanities projects should consider offering narratives, stories to the audience. While the content itself doesn't need to break new ground, the ways an audience engages with it does, at least to the degree that the platform offers a new way of interacting with the subject. A good public digital humanities project doesn't simply provide access to a collection or resource, although this can certainly be part of it, but rather it should curate materials and pathways that guide users towards specific humanities takeaways. If you're curious about your fit for a specific program level or have questions about your project's approach to the humanities, please do get in touch. Also, the NEH is pretty unique as a funder in that our staff is available to read drafts of applications for most of our programs. For digital projects for the public, these drafts must be submitted by no later than May 5th, 2022, in order to receive feedback. This draft review is completely optional, but it can be very useful as you create your application. Please submit to all drafts to publicpgms@neh.gov. Again, drafts must be submitted by May 5th in order to receive feedback from a program officer. Now let's take a look at the process of applying. One, and this is probably the most important aspect. Read the notice of funding opportunity. Really, really, really read it. The notice of funding opportunity, or NOFO, lays out the requirements for applying, but it also gives sound advice on how to produce a successful proposal. Next, make sure you are registered with grants.gov. Grants.gov is its own separate entity from the NEH, and we cannot contact them for you, nor can we offer technical advice. Make sure you're ready to apply by June and get on it now if you haven't already. If you have any questions about the NEH application process, the program, or your proposal, again, do feel free to contact us. We're here to help. As I said before, read the guidelines because each outlined required component of the proposal is paired with a specific review criteria. This is the same exact review criteria that we give to our peer reviewers. Familiarizing yourself with these criteria will provide you with guidance on how to frame the various components of the proposal. Next, know your audience. Your proposal should display a knowledge of the field and a handle on how to translate it for the public. You should not assume anything about the expertise of the reviewers looking at your application. We recruit both subject area experts, scholars, and media experts. While their expertise will likely intersect with your work, you can't assume that they directly know or are an expert on your topic. Make sure that the language and ideas included in the proposal are accessible and are free from jargon. And finally, we offer sample proposals from each grant level to read on the landing page for the grant program. It can be very helpful to read a few. Scroll down on the main program page, and you will find a number of sample proposals for each level of the program. These are not to be viewed as all-encompassing or templates for an application. Instead, we hope that the samples provide a sense of the range of a successful approach to crafting a proposal. There's not a one-size-fits-all proposal, but successful approaches include a project's engagement with humanities content, the level of detail provided for the chosen platform, and things like audience and distribution plans. Applicants often find the samples useful for honing their applications. I want to close with a brief overview of the review process. Applications must be submitted for a single grant program. You cannot apply for the same project and to fund the same activities to two different grant programs. In other words, you can't try to double or triple your chances. Pick a program and stick with it. Once you submit, we sort the applications by subject and media type, and reviewers are recruited to evaluate them. We aim to have a mix of scholars and practitioners, usually 3 scholars with subject expertise, and 2 practitioners who have a background in the types of platforms under consideration, like games or VRs or museum installations. Reviewers read the proposals and offer preliminary grades and comments online. After that, we convene review panels for discussion and final ratings. From there, division staff make recommendations. These recommendations get passed up to the members of the National Council on the Humanities. They're a body of 26 private citizens who are appointed by the president, who provide advice and guidance about applications and our grant programs. We meet with the National Council 3 times annually, and they make recommendations to the chair, who make the final funding decisions. Again, the deadline for this program is June 8th, with the announcement of awards occurring in December after the conclusion of the review process. To emphasize my point one last time, we at the NEH pride ourselves on accessibility and availability of the staff. Put simply, we really want to help. We're really interested in your projects, whether it's a question about the grant program or the eligibility of your project or organization. Reach out to us if you need anything at all. Thanks very, very much, everyone. Please stay safe and do let us know how we can help. Take care.